afternoon / good night on this lovely Wednesday night. Headed back home, kind of late. I got out of work at a decent time, but the had to do some stuff with the real estate job. I know I previously said in another video I was cutting back on a lot of the real estate, but I mean I still do have a little bit of stuff going on with it. And I do still enjoy the real estate for the most part. It's becoming a point of, is it worth the time sometimes? I say that because travel nursing salary, I can pick up an extra shift, or, I could work PRN at another facility and make like a guaranteed amount of money. Whereas with the real estate, I can, let's say I got client A, I show 3 houses to, they wind up buying a $300,000 house. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, 30 days later, or 2 weeks later, whenever it closes, the deal closes, I walk away with, let's say, roughly a $4,000 commission check. That right there is like the $4,000 commission check. I mean, it's nothing to like stick your nose up to at all. But, all right, let's say it's a $4,000 commission check and I have to work and do the things, and it takes me 30 days to get it, like a month to get it. Because on average, when I've closed properties, usually it's about a 30-day close, roughly. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer, but I'll say normally, with the way everything works, I can help my client get an inspection, get with the bank, get all the paperwork submitted, tax stuff submitted, get with the closing attorney. And usually, like, if the client wants me actively engaged and like grants me access to talk to like their banker and stuff like that, usually I can do at least a 30-day close, if not sooner. Every once in a while, you'll have clients that don't really want you, dealing with their bank too much, because even though you're their realtor, they're like, oh, I don't want you knowing what I got in the bank and XYZ thing, or, like, I'd rather my mortgage lender be my mortgage lender and my realtor be my realtor, which I respect that, and I get it. So it doesn't bother me at the end of the day. But sometimes when you're working towards the close of the transaction, there has to be some kind of interaction between the lender and the realtor and the inspector, and because it all has to come together and work together at the end of the day to get the close. So if the sooner that connection can be made and can be done, the better it is for you, usually, as the client, and the quicker you're closed. But anyways, going back to my scenario, let's say $4,000 commission is what I'm going to get at the end of the day when it's all said and done on this 30-day deal. Okay, obviously, I'm not going to pretend that I'm really working 30 days to make $4,000. The way, as a realtor, it works, and this is a very, very, very general snapshot. There is a lot more finite details that goes into it than what I'm about to say. So you will get with a buyer or get with a seller, whichever one your client happens to be. I'm going to say buyer because I predominantly like to work with buyers more than sellers, ideally. It's just my style. So you get with the buyer, you meet with them for the first time, Normally I like to do like a coffee shop. If they want to do it over the phone, that's fine too. Usually I'm like, hey, let's grab out to eat, talk about what kind of houses you're looking at, things that you're needing, maybe school districts you want to be in, yada, yada, yada. And then also with the current climate with, Zillow, Realtor, and all these things, a lot of times they already know what houses they are already interested in before you even have the conversation. So you meet with them for that. Let's say that takes 45 minutes. All right. So then 45 minutes, go get all my details, figured out like, okay, they want 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They want it in this county preferably, but they're willing to go to this county if needed. They want a garage and pool if possible. Basic stuff there that most people kind of want. That's kind of your typical person. 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage, and everybody usually wants to have a pool. A lot of times they don't get it, but it is what it is. So, and then the county, city, or school district, or whatever else, and then their price point. Maybe if they have a certain style of house that they like, you do those things too. All that good things. And then you find out what's more important to them. For instance, like for my family, we're not we don't really need a big bedroom per se, because the only time we go to the bedroom really is to go to bed. Like we're very big on like family get-togethers and functional space and having get-togethers and parties and stuff like that, or having a family movie night. So for us, the entertainment and flow of the overall living space is more important to us than it is the bedroom. So for instance, in my family, we can have smaller bedrooms if it means we have like a bigger kitchen with a big island and entertainment space. Like we would more so care about that over having a big bedroom. And then you do get people that are the opposite. They're like, oh, I need my California king bed with 2 nightstands, and I should still be able to have like a full rack gym over there in the corner of my bedroom also. Like there is people like that out there. I've had 1 or 2. Most people, it's more about the family and living space. But you get all that, you look all the properties up to them, you send them to them, you try to narrow it down to about 4 or 5 of them, and then you call the listing realtors or whatever you need to do to book your showing. You go get with the client, you show the client the houses. Preferably you do, on average, I say 4 houses in a day. My personal thing is that if you do more than 5, a lot of times they'll start to blend together, or your client will only remember the last 3 or something like that. So usually I try not to do more than 4 in one day. And then as you're showing those 4, you can kind of take notes of stuff that they say. Like they're like, oh man, this has carpet. I kind of don't like carpet. Oh, good. I didn't, that wasn't brought up in the first meeting, but now I know, hey, they hate carpet. So I can kind of add that to my little list of, all right, preferred places that don't have carpet. But then you can also educate them like, hey, I understand you don't like carpet, but if that's the only thing that's wrong with this house, that's a cosmetic fix at the end of the day. Like we could probably tear that carpet up and lay some linoleum or tile or something down instead if that's the only thing keeping you from buying the house. Like I don't want you to get hung up on the carpet. And then you show them those 4 houses. You kind of narrow it down. The more houses you show, the more you start to learn about your client and what they're wanting. So you do that, you find, let's say they wind up going with the third house. So you go to the third house, you make an offer to the listing agent, and then they make a counter offer. Now you got to present this counter offer to your client, and then you got to represent your client, saying like, hey, I think it might be a decent deal, or hey, maybe we can, renegotiate on and send them another counter offer at this price if you want. At the end of the day, it's their decision, but you're just there to try to guide the process and do what's best for them. So let's say you do another counter offer back to them, they accept the counter offer, now you're under contract. Now you have to do your inspection, most likely, and prior to this, you should have already gotten your pre-approval from the bank before you ever even started house hunting. That way you know what your budget is. But if you didn't, at this point you would have to submit all your paperwork to the bank and get your approval notice from the bank that they're going to lend you the money for the house if you're going that route, which is what most people do. Then the bank is going to want to do an appraisal. So you got to set that up, or help set it up. You don't really set everything up, you help set it up. Inspection, you help set that up. Then you go over the inspection with your client, because even though you're not the inspector, it's kind of expected of you to go over everything with your client. I mean, that's the sign of a good realtor, that they go over everything with you and try to guide you through the process. So you go over the inspections and everything, find out like, hey, we need to fix XYZ. You submit it to the seller. They go, okay, we'll fix this, but we won't fix this. All right, you present that to your buyer, and they're like, okay, I understand, that's fine. So then you do the amendment to the contract, both parties sign, you file it. You take the due diligence money from your client, take it to the closing attorney or whoever's going to be the holder of earnest money. Then you get with the closing attorney, try to get everything lined up for that. Get with the bank, line everything up with that, and then you get to closing and you close on the property. Again, that is like a very, very brief snapshot of all the things that you're going to be doing. Do all of those things take forever and a day to do? No. It takes me like probably a phone call to present the offer. Or if they want a written offer, obviously it might take me like 10 minutes to type everything out. To present the counter offer, I mean, that's a phone call or a text message. To do our counter offer, again, 2 to 10 minutes depending on how they want it. To file the acceptance, literally maybe like 2 minutes. To show the houses, that's probably your biggest time framer. That's a all day a thing usually, so 8 hours. Do the inspection, usually they'll walk the inspection too, so you're looking at, let's say, 2 hours. You spend another hour going over it with them, so there's 3 hours, so you're up to like about 12 hours there, and that's if everything goes perfect. So out of the 30-day thing, when you add everything all up, you're somewhere between 12 to 24 hours total work time, probably. And that's if it goes smoothly, like no hiccups. So 12 to 24 hours. So I like to err always on the side of caution. So I'm going to say 20 hours. I'm not going quite to the 24. So let's say a super smooth closing, I'm going to work for about 20 hours. Okay, if I already have a job that I'm getting paid, for easy math, we'll say $50 an hour. $50 an hour times 20 hours, that is 2,000 hours or $2,000. Sorry, $2,000. So that means at $50 an hour, 20 hours is 2,000. So, or let's see, 1,000. Sorry, I'm like been up for about 17 hours at this point. So 20 times 50 is 1,000, not 2,000. Sorry. So 1,000. So if that transaction is not worth at least $1,000, I have almost pretty much like lost money on that deal or on that transaction. So, and then mind you, that's not even including your gas and stuff like that too. Like your gas, you probably paid for the meal. So then when you start adding that all up, and then you start adding like your .loop fees for the year and stuff like that too, it's like, once you start adding everything up, it's like, okay, if I'm not making $2,000 on this deal at close, then it's not really worth my time. Okay, so now with me doing this nurse practitioner, you have to extrapolate that out on a nurse practitioner salary. And nurse practitioner, I mean, you're going to make excess of $100,000 a year. So, and then depending on what specialty you go to, I mean, you might not be working that much either. So now let's say all of a sudden, for you to work one overtime shift, like one 8-hour overtime shift, you can make $1,000 on one overtime shift as a nurse practitioner. So, you know, obviously, if we went back to the 24 hours that I'm saying that it might take you total to get that commission, let's say you did that same 24 hours and just picked up extra shifts as a nurse practitioner at $1,000 every 8 hours, that's $3,000 right there. Guaranteed, mind you. So now that's $3,000 guaranteed right there, and I didn't have to take a client out. I didn't have to, waste any gas or anything like that. So now all of a sudden it's like, heck, if I don't make $4,000 on this deal, it's not worth my time. So then it becomes, okay, I have to make a $4,000 commission just to make it worth my time because of how much I get paid as a nurse practitioner to make it worthwhile. And that's just like the break-even point. And that's if everything goes smooth. So, but what happens a lot of times, and what happened to me, and the reason I stepped back from a little bit, is I had 3 clients in a row that I did all this for. I showed houses multiple days. It wasn't even just one day. It was multiple days. So when you extrapolate those 2 days, and mind you, where I live is very rural, so you're traveling with gas and everything. So I probably spent on just one of those clients, probably, I'm going to say 40 hours, probably total, like talking to them, trying to set them up, helping them fix their credit so that they can like get pre-approved for the loan, and then like sitting with them again, talking about houses and school districts and everything again, and then like showing them houses that were in their budget. They didn't like that budget, so we had to redo save up a little bit more, try to clear a little bit more of our credit and debt so that we could get approved better interest rate. Then we go house hunting again with the new budget, and then I wound up spending like 40 plus hours with this client and they wind up not buying a house because apparently, come to find out, they had some relative that had some land, so they went to the local trailer place and just bought a single wide trailer and put it on their uncle's land at the end of the day because they didn't want to, they just didn't find, quote unquote, the right house for them. And they could save money by just throwing a trailer on their uncle's land and fixing it up they want to. Which I understand their side of the story, but at the same time, I just spent 40 plus hours of my time, and now I don't get paid because the way the real estate as a realtor works, you get paid on the close, like you get paid on your commission for the close. So if you don't close on the property, you don't get paid. So I just spent 40 hours of my time and made $0. So now going back to what I was saying about that nurse practitioner making $1,000 every 8 hours, that means I just lost $5,000, not even including the gas and stuff like that. Like once you extrapolated the gas and everything, me showing all that, spending that time and everything, taking away from like a nurse practitioner's overtime salary, I'm losing $6,000 in that scenario. And mind you, this didn't just happen to me one time, but 3 times in a row. So just extrapolate that kind of scenario 3 times, all of a sudden it's like, if you're counting time as money, I just lost $18,000. Now, did I really lose $18,000 out of my bank account? No. But if you're extrapolating the formula of time equals money, I lost $18,000 worth of my time and money if you add it all out. So now it's like, okay, and let's say the next person out of those 4, I spent the 20 hours with them and I only made $5,000. So again, the break even on that 20 hours is $4K. So technically I made $1K profit on the time equals money formula, but I'm still in the hole, the 18. So technically now I'm like, okay, I'm still at a net loss of 17K of my time equals money formula. So it's just made it to where I'm realizing that. And I'm like, crap, like I have to be more selective of who I'm taking on as a client. Because admittedly, like you don't realize this stuff when you first start doing real estate. You're all sunshines and rainbows. You want to help everybody. You want to sell houses and get the commissions and everything. Or you're just love showing houses like I do. Like I don't live off my commission, so I'm not starving for one. So for me, I do it because I enjoy it, and the commission is a nice little bonus to me. But at the same time, I'm not trying to lose money or lose time that could have been spent with my family for nothing. And that's pretty much what it kind of felt like I was doing towards the end, is I was losing time with my family. And I'm like, dang, like I'm losing this time with my family and I have nothing to show for it because these people aren't closing on houses. Or I had one that went under contract, and then basically XYZ thing happened and it didn't close. Well, we were under contract for like 45 days, and mind you, I showed them properties 2 weekends in a row before we even found that one. So it was like I had like 50, 60 hours with this client, and XYZ thing happened and we didn't close. So now again, I've spent 50, 60 hours with them, but I have $0 to show for it and all this time lost. So it just became a point of like that happened so like 3 times in a row. And then I did have, I broke the cycle, so to speak, and sold one and got it to close. And I'm just like, dang, like you win some, you lose some. But when you're already have a job that pays really well, there's an opportunity cost is the problem. Of like, hey, could I have done something else with this time that would have been more efficient? Now, granted, again, I like real estate. I love helping people and I love showing houses, so I'm still planning on doing it. But for me, it's like either A, I have to know you. Like if you're friends, family, coworker, or someone that I know, yeah, I'll help you, no problem. Obviously, I still want to take a commission because I'm not trying to lose money. Like I mentioned before, a lot of times the seller pays the commission anyways, which isn't a law. Let me not go through that can of worms again. But generally speaking, that's usually how it goes. So then, obviously I want a commission for my time. I want to get paid for the services rendered, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, if you're friends, family, I might try to help you out a little bit too with that. But normally I kind of don't, because I feel like if we're friends and family, you should be wanting to help me out also, if that makes sense. I never really understood, like, your best friend opens up a business and you're like, hey, let me get a discount, man, da 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 da. It's like, why are we not flipped in the script? Like, your best friend just opened up a business. Like, how about you pay full price to support your friend's business and entrepreneurial goals? Like, why are we not talking about that part of the story instead of you trying to get a discount because your friend owns it? That's that's how you test who's a real friend there sometimes. But back to my scenario that I was talking about. So then you start doing all these things, you're like, dang, it's not worth my time, it's not worth my effort, but I love to do it, so I need to be selective. So friends and family, or if you are going to be like Joe Schmo off the street, I'm going to be like, hey, listen, like, I understand you're wanting to buy the house. Are you serious right now? Because if so, these are the next steps. And I'm like, hey, step one, you need to call a banking institute to get pre-approval. Here is 4 of the people that I've used in the past that I recommend. ... You can also use any bank lender that you have previously used in the past or want to use. Just let me know if there's any way I can help you with that part. Step 2, I need you to sit down with your spouse, kids, wife, or anyone that is going to be included in this decision making and answer these following questions. And then I'll write out the questions, like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's important to you, garage, no garage. Like, it's like a little form basically that I copy and paste. I wrote it one time and now I just copy and paste it when I send it. I'm like, hey, I need you and your spouse or whoever is going to be making these decisions to sit down and answer these questions. I was like, and then step 3 is let's set up a time frame. Like, are we wanting to buy a house next week, next month, 3 months from now? What kind of time frame are we talking? Once you have all of this and you have all this ready for me, then we can move on to the next step, which is talking about houses and getting ready to start doing showings and tours and open houses and stuff like that to get you ready to buy your first home. So it's almost like I've given them like homework in a way, but that's like the entrance fee for me at this point. And admittedly, I have only done it so far one time. Well, I've sent it to about 4 people. I've only had one person actually do it. Like, they went home, talked to their spouse, and went through the little checklist and was like, hey, we went through the checklist, we got pre-approval with our local bank for this amount, They sent me the pre-approval letter. They also sent me the document that had like how many bedrooms and XYZ thing that they wanted. And I always tell them like, hey, if you're not sure about something, just leave it blank and we can talk about it when you give it back to me. So they did all that, and then they said, hey, we're wanting to finish out. We're wanting to get it by this time frame, if possible. However, this is like our hard date of we need to buy a house because our lease is going to be up and we don't want to extend our lease. So I'm like, okay. So we start working on it, knock it out, get everything lined up. The smoothest close that I've had was when I implemented that. And the other 3 out of the 4 that I did that with, I sent them that stuff and they would ask a bunch of questions and this, that, and the other. Basically questions that they're like, well, how would I know how many bedrooms I want? I don't know. Like, do you have kids? Do you have in-laws do you want an extra spare bedroom for visitors? Like, I don't know why you would need 3 bedrooms versus 4 bedrooms. Like, but instead of saying that, I would just be like, well, everybody's a little different with what they want. This is just a general guideline to try to help you determine what you really want in a house. And I would send that back. And then sometimes I'd get crickets. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, there was only one person that literally went through the steps and goes, oh, okay. Step 1, do this, got it. Step 2, do this, got it. Step 3, do this. And it's not like the stuff that I was asking them to do is stuff they are going to need to do to buy their house. So it's not like I'm asking them to go out of their way. It's just a matter of I broke it down step by step, like 1, 2, 3, send it back to me. Okay? Now we got past that part. All right, 4, 5, and 6 is this. And then 4, 5, and 6 is when we basically 1, 2, 3 is getting you financially ready to buy a house, is what it essentially is. And learning a little bit about what kind of house you're wanting or what's your needs. So you're financially getting ready, figuring out what you need. So steps 4, 5, and 6 is finding your dream home. Like finding the home that you want to buy. 7, 8, and 9 is we are under contract on said house. Now we're doing these things. And then 10 is the actual close where everything is wrapped together and you are now the proud owner of said house. So it's like I have like a 10-step process. Now, granted, there's some little fine out details underneath certain steps, but essentially it's a 7-step process that is broken down into 3 phases. It's a get your crap together phase, let's look at houses phase and make an offer, and let's get this offer, and then the offer gets accepted. That's when we move into the last phase where we're doing all of our due diligence and making sure that we're going to be able to close on the house. And then lastly, we close on the house and now you have your home. And like once, it took me a while to come up with this because it was immediately like I did it from scratch myself. I didn't copy anybody. But since doing that and implementing, it was as smooth as close. And even when I look back at it now and I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It makes it flow. It works. And then, it's been proven by one person so far. As far as on the buying side, the selling side, I haven't made one because I don't do much on the selling side. But it's like, okay, it's been kind of proven a little bit. And then the other 3, one of them actually got back with me and was like, hey man, I appreciate the steps. I'm basically just stuck on step one for the pre-approval. He's like, I have like, X amount of debt, da 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 da, my income is this. They're saying that I need to clear up this debt. And I'm like, okay. So to me, the fact that, which I'm still working with that person, because the fact is they're at least making the effort, in my opinion. So I'm still working with that person. And so they're still technically on step one, which is getting your pre-approval. But they've made progress. And I mean, I'm like, hey, with where you're at, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be very hard for a bank to lend for you without it being like a subprime loan, and they're going to charge you out the wazoo on interest rate. Like, there is lenders that will give you this loan, in all honesty. You will be able to get this loan if you force it. However, it is something I would never recommend, because you will regret it because of how high the interest rates and fees will be, and it will be a curse rather than a blessing. And I would hate that for you, is what I told the guy. I was like, so if you want to pursue that path, it is completely your choice. It is just not what I would recommend because of the reasons I've listed. I would recommend pausing for the next 6 months to a year. Do these things. And I even went out of my way, because I did feel bad for the guy. I went out of my way. I bought him, I ordered it for him and had it sent to his house through Amazon. I ordered him the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I sent him the YouTube links and everything for the Money Guy show on YouTube. And I was like, hey, I want you to, either read this book or watch their show or watch Dave Ramsey talk about how to get out of the debt. I was like, because the thing that is killing you is the fact that you're buried in debt right now. And I'm like worried that if you don't and you continue down the path you're going to eventually hit a wall that you can't climb over. And, the guy was, he respected my honesty and everything like that. Fast forward, 4 months, I'm still working with the guy. Like, off and on, I'll just kind of check in with him, like, hey, how's it going? How's the debt payoff going? Da-da-da-da-da, and just kind of give him a little bit of insight about the market. And the guy is making great progress, and probably, I would say, if he continues making the progress that he's making without any hiccups, probably by March of next year, he'll probably be ready to buy a house. Pretty much guaranteed by summer of next year. But I think by March of next year, he'll be on track to buy his house that he wants. And again, that's an example of, like, I see him making the effort. I can check in with him, and I don't mind the fact that I'm losing a little bit of time here and there, because I actually feel like I'm helping, and I feel like he himself is putting forth the effort. Because it's like the old expression says, you can't help someone that's not willing to help themselves. But that's pretty much my shtick on this. I was having to deal with some real estate stuff, and it was some heartaches and stuff where it's like potentially losing out on a big commission on this one. Which, I mean, I overall won't lose the commission, but I'll just potentially lose the traction that I've made towards it, because I'm going to have to regroup and try to figure it out a different way for the client, which is fine. I kind of like the work of it and everything, like all the minutia, so to speak. But at the same time, it is frustrating. But this particular client, I do know him. I do like them. I would do all of this over again in a heartbeat, no questions, except for maybe the current deal that we have, which again, it's not, as a realtor, we try to advocate for you and explain things, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. And I did tell them that I did not recommend this decision, and I tried to put up as many safeguards and side rails and pillows as I could to try to avoid a wreck that it could potentially be, which has admittedly worked. So, I mean, they're not going to lose really much at all. And then they've actually kind of paid out in a way. But yeah, it's still not the way that I would have wanted it to go. That's the only issue. But we are actively trying to turn it around, and hopefully we do, and we kind of somewhat force a close, which I do not like doing, but we will see how things go. But anyways, y'all beautiful people, stay blessed. Give the wife and kids a big old hug and kiss. Let them know you love them. Slap the old lady on the rear end. And just stay blessed.